Alright, so, sorry I look like crap. I went on a bike ride. I really don't care. What's important is what we're talking about. Sorry if the sound is crap. Whatever, man. Unless I get paid to do this, I'm not incentivized to learn how to edit or buy the proper equipment. Just being honest. Um, Before we talk too much about what I want to talk about, what the title would be, human violence. To be academically honest, um, is to, be forward in the way that you present your ideas. For people that, aren't scientifically trained, it, it is a proper and kind of specific way to think. When I say proper, I mean like it's kind of rigid. I don't mean it's the best way to think. These are all made up, the best way to think is a made up human thing. Nobody could ever tell you what the best way to think is. So, to be academically honest, I'm always going to say I've studied a lot of the things that I like to talk about, but I don't know crap. Humans don't know crap. It's how it is. It's reality, Which is ultimately the point of these videos, is just to like kind of face reality, be a little bit aware, and just to do better. That's the best we could hope for, We didn't ask to be born, or especially into certain circumstances that we find ourselves in. There's a lot that's out of our control, and that's okay. You don't want to throw your hands up and quit. It's just being self-aware is like really important, and we're animals, we're humans. At the end of the day, we're not perfect, and perfect doesn't exist. It's a made up human concept. So when I talk about human violence, first off, violence is like a human concept. Like, sure, things fight in nature, obviously, but we're the only ones that can sit there and think about that. For better or for worse, humans are very far away from being perfect, which is the whole idea. And it's so important to talk about all the time. There are certain things that are worth talking about all the time. Human violence is one of them, because for better or for worse, we are living an unnatural life, in huge numbers. I think the world population recently hit 8 billion, and I want to say by like 2100, I mean, we'll all be gone, more than likely, but by 2100, I think the world population is supposed to peak at like 11 to 12 billion, and then it'll all start to go down. That could change. Who knows? We don't know what's going to happen in the next instant, let alone, however many years from now. 70, whatever. It doesn't matter. What does matter is that we're all living together for better or for worse, and we will never, I don't think we'll ever be able to truly flourish as a species living together. I just don't think it's really possible. Humans are too divisive, and violence in particular. I mean, you could do a thought experiment, right? Like, in a perfect world, humans would all be holding hands, saying kumbaya, whatever, But you could easily imagine a scenario where a pacifist culture that has no warrior clan with no weapon development, if that culture existed, they could be the smartest people ever, but, across the river, some brutish, ultra-violent clan exists. They could easily conquer the smarter clan, So you get this interesting balance of acceptable violence, because some violence is going to be necessary, just to be able to protect yourselves from other humans, from animals. So violence in itself isn't good or bad. It's human made up. It's necessary. It's just one of those things. That doesn't mean that I like violence. I'm very much a pacifist, pretty much anti-military. I don't even really like sports, violent sports. I did play football since 5th grade till I graduated high school and then stopped, thankfully, because I did get some concussions that, probably still have lingering impacts on me now. Who's to say? But anyways, even somebody like me, I don't really like violence. I mean, evolutionarily, violence is gonna exist. It's just one of those things. It's like, this is how I found that it's very helpful to approach these complicated problems that we face. Does that imply that it's the best way to think? Absolutely not. Never said that. In fact, it might be bad to think about it this way for most people. That's the beauty of just being able to discuss this kind of stuff. With the technology that we have, which is insane, by the way, and it's cool to think that, like, all of our technology just pales in comparison to our brain, which was just spontaneously made over 4.4 billion years, which is how old the Earth is. So, I mean, it took a long time. And we're not the only beings that can think. We don't know. We do not know how much a whale can think. We don't even know what they're communicating when they vocalize with each other. The sounds that they make happen so fast, and they're so complex that, like, if you see, I don't even know the name of it, like a graph of the sounds, it just, like, you can tell that there's nuances in there that are intentional and probably convey ideas, but we have no clue. And that's just, like, what I always am trying to say is, like, we just do not know crap, and we presume so much as humans, and we're living unnatural lives. Like, we don't really even know how humans specifically evolved, like what size clans that humans would naturally find themselves in. I think it really comes down to, how closely can you know X amount of people? Can you know intimately more than 200 people? Is it possible to maintain intimate relationships with more than 50 people? Who's to say? And depending on what clan of humans you're talking about, the numbers could be different. Like, there's so much complexity. Humans we've domesticated ourselves, right? Starting with the beginning of civilization, we started kind of defying a lot of the evolutionary pressures that we would be experiencing. For example, if we're living in clans of 200 people, the evolutionary pressures on that group are very different than the evolutionary pressures on a city of 50,000 people. So we have domesticated ourselves starting around, I want to say 3000 BC, like the first Sumerian civilizations. Who knows? How do we even define civilization? There's so much we don't know. I'm gonna cough real fast, I'm so sorry. Still recovering from COVID, by the way, which absolutely destroys me. What was I gonna say? I don't know. Human violence. Anyways, it's just a thing that's always gonna exist. I was talking about how we domesticated ourselves. So there's just, do you guys understand what I'm saying? Like, when we try to approach problems, we have to think of ourselves as animals. We evolved in very specific circumstances. The Ice Age that continues till this day, even though it seems like it's unfortunately going to end soon, because that might spell doom for us as a species again. The complexities are absolutely bonkers, but I will say I do not think we will ever be able to colonize another planet. Well, actually, I don't want to say that. I don't think we could ever colonize another planet and then come back to Earth. Because clearly, I mean, I think most people are aware that scientists in space, they have to work out, and even working out when they come back to Earth, the gravitational forces of Earth are enough that their body has already started to adapt to the different gravity that it was experiencing. You know what I mean? So like a lot of our systems, like our brain drains just passively using gravity. So if we're on a different planet where the gravity's different, there's going to be a lot of circumstances where like our body's just going to be suboptimal for the circumstance. That's how evolution works. It's insane. Our body's very specifically adapted to Earth's gravity, with the atmospheric pressure that we experience, with the specific carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, with the specific oxygen in the atmosphere. So humans as a species might be doomed no matter what. We might not be able to do anything about it. All it takes is some crazy random volcanic explosion. Meteors hit Earth way less frequently now, and I think we do have kind of the technology, or we're working on it, where we could destroy space debris, but really probably the doom would just come from Earth seismic activity and some kind of volcanic explosions. Like there's so many just... What I'm saying is like, we just don't know crap, you guys, and we're animals. We evolved very specifically for very specific circumstances with very specific atmospheric conditions. By the way, the Earth has changed so much over time and will continue to change over time. There's just so much that we don't know. So when I look at our problems as a society, I'm just thinking like we're living a lot of times very unhealthy, unnatural ways. So we need to correct it. We have the information available to correct our actions, but our ways of doing things, thinking, are so outdated. Like, it's mind-boggling. And like I learned some things and I feel obligated to share them. So I think it's cool that I can talk about human violence, how it's a thing, whether you like it or not, and it exists because we're humans and because it's evolutionarily necessary. I'm not saying I like violence. You know, I'm trying to stop that way of thinking. I'm not implying anything. I'm just saying violence makes sense evolutionarily. But we know better and we can do better. And we need to update our ways of thinking as a collective species if we want to survive on this planet for as long as we can. I mean, I do think we're doomed. I mean, no matter what, like, time is going to end. The sun is going to blow up. Whether we make it to that point, probably very unlikely. But we can extend how long that our species can survive if we can stop being selfish for 30 seconds, become more self-aware. And I'm not perfect. I make mistakes all the time. I'm aware of a lot of them. I'm a human. I'm an idiot. I have testosterone in my blood. I think testosterone just really just makes guys kind of dumb. Maybe a little bit delusional, a little self-unaware. And unfortunately, men for a lot of, well, all of history pretty much have dominated women. There's so many problems, you know what I mean? And we need to correct the problems because we have the technology, the information available to do such things. We just need to think a little bit better, which is why I make these videos. Hopefully you guys can follow along. I'm sorry, I'm probably gonna end, but welcome to the podcast. Just kind of schizoid thoughts, a lot of ADHD lines of reasoning, but it's fun, right? Thanks for watching.